Here are 10 things you should know before becoming a barber. Number 1, communication. Communication is the most important thing, absolutely the most important thing in barbering, for obvious reasons. Skills, you can learn those and they can come secondary to communication, but being able to have client rapport and being able to have banter and a good conversation, and most importantly, listening ability is key to being good in this trade. Clients don't care as much about the haircut. They care much more about your personality. Are you someone who makes them feel comfortable? Are you someone who looks after them and cares for them? Are you a community member? Are you doing everything you can to make your clients want to come back and love you? Communication, absolutely the biggest thing possible. That also extends to the counseling nature in barbering. Like, a lot of young people who start out on barbering just think that it's just going to be easy, but the hardest part about it is having to listen to your clients' problems, because a lot of the time you like these people, you identify with them and you care genuinely. So if someone's sick, someone's terminally ill, someone's got some abuse problems going on in their personal life, someone's got some gang stuff going on or drug stuff going on, like, you're going to hear it and you're going to have to take on that emotional baggage. And unless you're a robot, you're going to find it very draining emotionally, and that can be really hard on us, because we aren't being paid for our counselling services. We're basically free counsellors, but that's, again, the other side of that is very rewarding, and we can be in a position to genuinely be able to help people through some difficult times. So bear that in mind. But yeah, communication, absolutely everything. It's also, just on another note, consultation is something that's huge as well. Making sure that your communication skills are good enough to mean that you're on the same page with your client as soon as they sit in your chair. They're explaining to you what they want, and you're understanding how to do it, and you're meeting in the middle and creating a service that is exactly what the client wants and exactly what you're happy with as well. So there you go, that's number 1. 10 things you should know before becoming a barber. Number 2, clientele. Now, clientele defines everything. If you have got the clients, then you're obviously doing a good job. If your clients, I've said this before, if your clients are good people, then you're a good person. If your clients are shit people, or you haven't got many of them, then you're doing something wrong. So yeah, your clientele is everything. This can take a long time. If you're starting out, this can take a long time to build. Obviously, if you're lucky enough to fit into a very busy barbershop that has its own clientele and you can take some of that on, great. But most of the time, it's going to take you 6 months at least to a year to get a full clientele that you're going to have to be able to rely on financially as well, because at the end of the day, they're the ones who pay your bills. Something very important, a piece of advice I would give you after sort of 11 years in the trade, is every single time you get a first-time client, that's the first time you meet them, do the best job you could possibly do. Go above and beyond. Take that extra 5-10 minutes to just make them super comfortable, because once they come back, that's how you build your clientele. If you don't do a great job first time, they might just go elsewhere. So never ever, always look to capitalize on that first-time client. Also, marketing as well. Social media is key. Instagram particularly. Like, we're a visual media, so it's really important that you get out there and get videos and just start marketing yourself as much as possible all over the place. Go into businesses, talk to people, give people your business card. Just talk about what you're doing all the time and try and generate a buzz around what you're doing, because word of mouth is the best form of marketing, and still is to this day the best form of marketing. And reputation as well, of course. Your reputation is just huge. If you get a bad Google review or whatever, that can really affect you and affect your future. So just work really, really hard on those first-time clients and try and build from the ground up, right from the beginning. Peace. 10 things you should know before you become a barber. Number 3, hygiene. Now, this isn't an area that barbers are particularly known for. but they should be, because this is kind of a big one. But yeah, hygiene, it goes both ways. Hygiene in terms of your clients, being aware of what to look for in terms of contagious, non-contagious conditions of the hair and scalp. Obviously, I teach all this stuff, but you do need to know about it. It is important. You might say that you've never encountered head lice. You might say that you've never encountered impetigo or like ringworm or anything like this, but I have in the decade I've been doing this, and I can tell you it ain't nice. Having to shut your whole shop down for the day and clean everything head to toe and sterilize the shit out of the place can be pretty crap. So do be aware and mindful about, you know, what to look for in these things. Sanitize your gears all the time, maintain and look after your gears, make sure everything's oiled, make sure you're using Barbicide, make sure you're changing your Barbicide. All of this stuff you'll learn as you're going along, but it's pretty damn important. It also goes both ways though, so your hygiene is really important. If a client comes and sits in your chair and you've got hair all over the place and your clippers are covered in someone else's hair, and you know, like, it's just filthy, it's not going to look good. Your clients are not going to want to come back. Likewise, if you're talking all day and drinking coffee like I do, make sure that you use mints or gum or brush your teeth extra, because you're going to have stank old breath as well, being a barber generally, just because you're talking all day and not drinking enough fluid. So that's the thing, be mindful of that, because you can't smell yourself, other people can. So just make sure that you're using deodorant, that you haven't got cheesy feet, that you, do you know what I mean? Like all those obvious things. Just make sure you're showering. It's important, you know, and it's kind of gross when you get that one person in a shop who stinks the whole place out or whatever. Also, you know, like strong food, things like eating a curry in the back of the shop, using the microwave that you use your hot towels for, not really a good idea. So yeah, avoid that where possible. Anyway, yeah, that's number 3. That's hygiene. Peace. 10 things you should know before you become a barber. Number 4. Had to look at the sheet there for a minute. This one's kind of important. Money. Yeah. It's quite a wide topic of discussion, and it differs wherever you are, but we're going to focus on New Zealand only here, because that's where I live and that's where I do my education. And this is where I put out graduates who go into shops and work jobs. So what to expect to be paid can vary massively, especially in your first job. Usually in your first job, you're going to expect to earn minimum wage and be treated like a little bitch for a while. Unfortunately, depends where you work. You can be lucky and you can get a really cushy job that pays you by the hour or whatever. There are benefits to all sorts of ways, but there are really 3 main payment methods. Okay, the first one is by the hour, getting paid by the hour. Now this is great if you're starting out, because if you haven't got a clientele, if you're not busy, you're still getting paid, which is awesome. So this can be the best option for starting out. However, when you do start getting really busy, you can start feeling shortchanged. What I mean is, you're doing 15-20 haircuts a day, but you're only getting paid $20 an hour. You're going to feel like you're getting absolutely ripped off. Of course you are. The other one is commission. So you might take 50% of your daily takings, and your manager might take the other 50%. This is good if you're able to push yourself and generate your own clientele. This can be really, really lucrative for you, and usually ends up as the best method. The other one, which is less common and more old school, and the one that I prefer, is chair rental. So you pay a set amount to rent your chair for the day, and you're self-employed. What this means is that your daily takings, say for example you earn $400, you might give $150 to the owner, and everything else you keep. Of course, bear in mind that you have to do your own tax as well. Now, tax is something I need to talk about because we haven't got long on this video. Pay your taxes. There are a lot of barbers that don't, unfortunately, and they're a bad example for the rest of the industry, and they will get caught out, and it does happen, and you get made an example of, and that's game over. So there's a really good app called Henry in New Zealand, HNRY. Check it out. I use it. All small businesses should use it. It's awesome. They do your tax returns for you. Every time you get paid, you run it through Henry. It deducts your tax, and then it gives you back your pay. It's awesome. So yeah, money, tax, huge, important piece. 10 things you should know before you become a barber. Number 5. Posture and ergonomics. So this is a topic that not a lot of people talk about, but my lord, as an educator, I see some awful practice out there in industry from barbers that have been doing this for, I don't know, 20 years or whatever, but they still don't know how to hold their scissors properly. They still don't know how to use their chair properly. They still don't know how to use a bloody headrest. Like, it's ridiculous, quite frankly. Of course, there are different views and opinions on this, but it's common sense, yeah? You know, don't walk around your chair all day. It turns for a reason. Yeah, if you're doing a skin fade, turn your chair. Makes life a lot easier for you. Straighten your back, straighten your neck. Don't have your elbows up here when you're doing stuff. I mean, it's just common sense. I drill it into my students every day, like how the importance of palm to palm cutting with your scissors, the importance of not putting your thumb too far into your scissors, the importance of not straining your neck, your back, your elbows, all of that shit. Because trust me, when you've been doing this for a long time, you're going to get health problems that are going to put you out of a job eventually. I'm very lucky because I've worked really hard and very consciously on my posture. I stand with my back straight in the fucking kung fu horse stance all day, yeah? So the only thing that's ever happened to me actually is that I've got varicose veins in my legs, but that's going to happen if you're standing up all day for 20 whatever years. So bear that in mind. But yeah, ergonomics and posture, hugely important. Also for your client too. Make sure your client is comfortable. If they're looking awkward in the chair, if you're not using your headrest properly, if you're not reclining your chair properly, etc., it can make life harder for your client, and they might not come back if they're not feeling too physically comfortable as well. Yeah, so that's ergonomics and posture. Really think about that and do some research on how to look after your body, because you only get one, and you don't want to get injured. Peace. 10 things you should know before you become a barber. Number 6. Timekeeping. Now, this is a pretty obvious one, of course, but there are really sort of 2 schools of business out there. There is the people who only take walk-ins, and there is the people who only take appointments. The appointment side of things has kind of come over from hairdressing, to be honest. Barbers traditionally have always been a walk-in only sort of type of business, but nowadays you're seeing much more appointments. I only take appointments. My school only takes appointments. I find it more professional and easier to manage than just walk-ins. Can be chaotic. But I think the future of barbering, seeing as the prices are going up, the quality is going up, and appointments are becoming necessary. Clients want to be able to book appointments and know that they've got a haircut at this set time. Yeah, the walk-in barber shops are kind of dying out. That said, managing your time effectively in the day is massively important. After a while, after you've been cutting hair for a long time, you'll start to have an internal clock and like a mechanism that like won't let you run over. You won't even need to look at your clock, because you'll just know when you've kind of gone over the time that you should be spending on your client. At first, you're going to probably be taking, a lot longer than you will after a while, and you're going to learn shortcuts. But it's important that you don't drop your quality with those shortcuts, yeah? Learn ways of doing things quickly. Move physically, move quite fast. I see a lot of lazy, sort of lethargic, slow barbers out there. And remember that time is money. Like, time is money. I couldn't say that and more importantly, but every little gap that you have in your schedule on a daily basis, you can squeeze those up and make a new appointment. Do you know what I mean? So like, just really try and structure your day well, and try and take fewer breaks, and maximize your time efficiency where possible, so that you're earning the most amount of money. Of course, money isn't the most important thing, but that's what's going to put food in your fridge at the end of the day, yeah? So timekeeping is hugely important. Make sure you turn up to work on time, because people don't like that, if you're going to roll in like 5-10 minutes and your client's already waiting, it looks terrible, it looks bad, and your employers are going to hate you for it as well. Yeah, and just respect other people's time. Be hard on your clients if they're late as well, do tell them off for it, and warn them, tell them that you won't have them in again if they do it a couple times in a row. It's important. Timekeeping. Peace. 10 things you should know before you become a barber. Number 7. Community. Bit of an unusual one. Not a lot of people talk about this kind of stuff, but Where I am in Wellington, there are so many barbershops. It sounds controversial. I don't want to upset anyone, but there are too many barbershops in Wellington, quite frankly. And when I first came here, none of them spoke to each other. They all hated on each other. They constantly bagged on the other barbershop. Oh, these guys are shit. These guys are shit. Now I think things are getting slightly better, and all the shops are communicating with each other a bit more, and there is a real sense of community now. And I'm lucky enough to be in a place where I'm kind of neutral, so I'm not like affiliated with any particular barbershop, but I'm mates with everybody. And that is such an important thing as a barber. Don't talk shit about other barbershops, because it will come back to bite you in the ass. It's also just a bit of a dick thing to do, because everybody's trying to run a business and put food in the fridge at the end of the day. So yeah, community is huge. Plug into your community, not just the barbering community via social media or via going around and visiting other shops, which is a really nice thing to do. Introduce yourself when you move to a town or a city. Just make friends with all the barbers, because you can learn a lot from each other, and I really feel like there's potential for a much healthier community globally in terms of barbering. Don't be haters, spread the love. But also not just the barbering community, but your community. Plug yourself into it. Figure out what's going on at schools. Figure out what's going on at old people's homes, and do as much as you can to help your community out. Help the homeless out. Get people in for free haircuts. If it raises the profile and it's also helping somebody else, then by all means do it. I think it's really important. Where I come from in England, to be honest, I don't think community is. It's kind of gone. Like in London, there is just no sense of community from where I'm from anyway, and that's really sad. So when I came to Aotearoa, I figured out that I was embraced by the community here, and that was really very lovely for me to have that. So I'm trying to give back to the community as much as possible, and I do that in various different ways. But yeah, community is everything, people. Peace. 10 things you should know before you become a barber. Number 8. Trends and fashion. So, as you're probably aware, trends come and go. I've been doing this for over a decade, and I've done it in different countries as well. And one thing I've noticed is, obviously, when I started out, I was working in a business district in central London, and most of the haircuts were kind of like business haircuts, short back and sides. Nobody had a beard back then. Certainly nobody had a skin fade back then. So trends and styles change depending on where you are, culturally and community-wise as well. It's always going to differ, but fashion is a huge part of this too. Like musicians and cultural sort of icons and whatnot are going to have an effect on the kind of haircuts that you're doing. But also trends are just going to come and go. Like, just because you aren't doing long hair for the last 5 years doesn't mean you're not going to suddenly be doing it again. Like, all it takes is for like some pop star to start getting popular, and people come in and want to look like that, So it's really important knowing how to do everything, being a jack of all trades, because if you can only do skin fades, trust me, you're going to be out of a job in a few years' time. It's just not everything. You need to learn how to do everything, be a master of all of it. Yeah, and constantly try and learn new stuff. Go through history, go through all of the classic haircuts, and just learn everything that you can, and how to do everything. Because I've been in situations where I've worked in shops, I'm not going to name any names, but someone comes in and asks for a scissor cut because they've got longer hair, and I'm the only one out of 5 or 6 barbers who knows how to do a scissor cut, and everybody's like, help, 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 and it's embarrassing. So don't be one of those guys. Don't be a one-trick pony. Be aware of trends and fashion, and do your research, and go back and study the haircuts of ages long gone, and try and throw them into your styles. Yeah, and also just push the boundaries. If someone comes in and wants something that's particularly on trend, do it, but then make it your own and give it a twist and make it slightly more creative. Yeah, because we're in a creative trade at the end of the day. Peace. Things you should know before you become a barber. Number 9, values. Now, for those that don't know, barbering is a trade. It always has been a trade. It's one of the oldest trades in the world. It's as old as prostitution. It's similar to prostitution in a lot of ways as well. We just don't earn as much, and it's less smutty, I suppose, but just as filthy. And just as much banter, I imagine. Anyway, what I mean by values is be respectful of the trade. Know that it is a trade. Know that you're no different to a plumber or a carpenter or, you know, other similar trades. Yes, we're more creative than some of these other trades. Yes, we're more social than some of these other trades, but we are a trade. You are not a rock star. Okay. Like, I think a lot of people, I've watched things change over the last decade, and when I started barbering, it was literally just old men that wanted to do it. There was no young people that wanted to be barbers. It wasn't a cool job. There was nothing cool about it whatsoever. It was dusty old men wanting to do it, and to be honest, I found that cool at the time, but it wasn't widely appealing to young people to be a barber. It's kind of pop culture that's made it cool again, or cool for the first time actually, in the last decade or so. And I feel that it's kind of unrealistic to a lot of young barbers out there, a lot of barbers in general out there on social media and whatnot, have got massive egos for absolutely no reason. And I'm not bitching and bagging on anyone particular, but you've got these like celebrity barbers now. I mean, come on, you're not a celebrity, you're just a barber. You're just a barber, and there's nothing wrong with being just a barber, but just respect where you come from and be humble. Don't be a dickhead, basically. Barbering is a trade. Respect the trade, enjoy the trade. As soon as it becomes something else, then just leave it, honestly, because you're not you're just a barber. Okay. Yeah, so egos can leave, quite frankly. I'm sick of it. I see it too much. A lot of kids want to just go, oh yeah, that would be a cool job, it'd be super easy, I can have tattoos and swear all day and smoke cigarettes and whatnot. No, you can't. Your clients are everything, and sooner or later you're going to just be out of a job, and you're not going to be able to do anything else because you haven't got any other talents. So just be a good, humble person, be a good barber, respect the trade, respect the roots of the trade, and let your ego just get out the door. Okay? Peace. 10 things you should know before you become a barber. Number 10. We're at the end, folks. This is a really important one, and this is about learning. Okay, so make sure that you're always pushing yourself to learn. Yeah, because I feel like in life, anything, this is my advice for you as an old fella, is to just, whatever you do, make sure that you're learning. Yeah, every day you're learning something, no matter how small it is. You're constantly learning. You're learning from your peers, you're learning from your clients, you're learning from social media, you're learning from whatever. It's crucially important, because I tell you what, if you get stuck in a cyclical trend of just doing the same thing day in, day out, and not pushing yourself and pushing your boundaries and being creative and trying new things out, then you're going to get sick of it, and you're going to start hating your job. And quite frankly, like I've loved my job for 10 years, and yeah, I'm teaching now, but I've always loved barbering, and I'm still doing it as well. And I might have regular clients that I've seen for the last couple of years, right? I've probably cut their hair 100 times, yeah, and every single time I'll do it slightly differently, and it's not a conscious thing. It's just because I constantly want to learn and push my parameters and understand more about myself that way as well. But yeah, learn new techniques, watch videos, but most importantly, learn from yourself, learn from your mistakes, and don't be afraid of fucking up. It is hugely important. I encourage all my students to balls haircuts up. I'm not going to save them or hold their hand, and I think it's really important that they do that at least once, because then they learn not to do it again. If you don't make mistakes, then you're not pushing yourself enough, basically. You have to make mistakes to be able to learn and grow. So yeah, in barbering, make that apply to your barbering career, and you'll end up being a great barber. I hope that wraps everything up for this 10 things you should know. For those of you that are barbers already, I hope you appreciate what I've said here, and I'm sure some of you will agree, some of you will disagree. But for those willing to learn to be barbers and want to step into the career and get the qualifications, then these are the 10 commandments that you should really know, from my perspective. So I hope this helps. Peace. Here are 10 things you should know before becoming a barber. Number 1, communication. Communication is the most important thing, absolutely the most important thing in barbering. for obvious reasons. Skills, you can learn those and they can come secondary to communication, but being able to have client rapport and being able to have banter and a good conversation, and most importantly, listening ability is key to being good in this trade. Clients don't care as much about the haircut. They care much more about your personality. Are you someone who makes them feel comfortable? Are you someone who looks after them and cares for them? Are you a community member? Are you doing everything you can to make your clients want to come back and love you? Communication, absolutely the biggest thing possible. That also extends to the counselling nature in barbering. Like, a lot of young people who start out on barbering just think that it's just going to be easy, but the hardest part about it is having to listen to your clients' problems, because a lot of the time you like these people, you identify with them, and you care genuinely. So if someone's sick, someone's terminally ill, someone's got some abuse problems going on in their personal life, someone's got some gang stuff going on or drug stuff going on, like, you're going to hear it and you're going to have to take on that emotional baggage. And unless you're a robot, you're going to find it very draining emotionally, and that can be really hard on us because we aren't being paid for our counselling services. We're basically free counsellors, but that's, again, the other side of that is very rewarding, and we can be in a position to genuinely be able to help people through some difficult times. So bear that in mind. But yeah, communication, absolutely everything. It's also, just on another note, consultation is something that's huge as well. Making sure that your communication skills are good enough to mean that you're on the same page with your client as soon as they sit in your chair. They're explaining to you what they want, and you're understanding how to do it, and you're meeting in the middle and creating a service that is exactly what the client wants and exactly what you're happy with as well. So there you go, that's number one.